Hi, I'm Shelley.
And I'm Rich.
Welcome to Air to Ground Farms. Today we're in the garden. A couple of weeks ago, we got this thing planted, and after much anticipation and waiting, we are finally able to give you guys an update on what's going on out here.
We want to take a look at all of the plants that are growing, some of the plants that didn't germinate, and give you a look around at how the garden is doing.
Overall, I think that this garden is doing amazing. This stuff right here, godsend.
Yeah, stick around to the end and we'll do a little bit of an update on what we think about the garden fabric, some pluses and minuses, and just share with you our experience so far about a month in.
Let's go see what we've planted and how it's doing.
I'll start the tour of the garden with our peppers. That's the first thing in our planting video. If you haven't seen it, you can check it out. I'll leave a link to it at the end. But we started that planting video with the peppers, so I'll start the update there. At the end of the garden, we have a couple of jalapenos that we picked up from Living Traditions Homestead from their starts. And if you see, we're really getting some nice jalapenos growing on these peppers already. Right down from them, we have, these are California Wonders, and I believe that they're a bell pepper, again, picked up from Living Traditions Homestead. The next ones are a Hungarian pepper, a Hungarian wax pepper, and they are a really spicy banana pepper, like slicing banana pepper, and they're starting to get heavy already. This one's hanging to the ground. We're gonna end up doing some work out here and tying some of the peppers and tomatoes up. As soon as we do the update on the plants, we'll come back around and start doing work with them. After these hot banana peppers, we go into our sweet bell peppers, and we've got about 4 of them. Following that sweet bell pepper is what I think is a weed. We picked it up as part of a pack with our cayenne peppers, and I think that one just turned out to be a weed. So we'll go have a look at it. So as we make our way down, I believe that guy is just a weed. We went ahead and planted it. We're gonna see what it turns out to be. If you know what that is, feel free to leave a comment and let us know, because we don't. These next peppers that are getting pretty tall, these are our cayennes. We picked them up from a local Amish greenhouse. And then after the cayennes are serranos. And again, we picked them up from a local Amish greenhouse. And we also have 2 ghost peppers. We're really excited about the really hot peppers. Y'all, we're chili heads. We love hot peppers. So all of these are, I don't know, for me, they're probably my favorite part of the garden is the peppers, and especially the really hot ones. And then all the way down at the very end, we'll get a close-up of those, is our Harold's St. Bart's, and they are a habanero pepper that we just love. They ripen to be a yellow orangish color, a pretty big pod habanero, and they just have a really fruity, smoky flavor, and y'all, we love them. I didn't harden them off well enough as what I should have, so it stunted. Of the 6 plants, 5 of them were stunted. 1 of the 5 was really stunted, and 1 of them just acted like nothing happened, and it's doing really well.
Okay, I'm gonna take on the tomato row, but he forgot a couple of his peppers because they're over here on my row in the tomatoes. These peppers we got from Living Traditions also, and they're a large red roasting pepper that I'm very excited about because we really love all the flavors of peppers, whether they are roasted or smoked and turn into flakes, or we make it into a sauce, whatever it is, hot, medium, mild. We just like all of them. This guy right here already has one on it. It's green. We're waiting for it to go red and ripen. But it's starting to lean a little because it's so heavy. So we're gonna need to tie this guy up as well and give him a little bit of support because he's kind of hanging over on one side. Let's move down to the tomatoes. This first bunch of tomatoes that I've come to are the Amish paste tomatoes. We're really excited about this. We've not really ever canned specifically with paste tomatoes before. We've always just used the tomatoes that we had on hand, and we throw them into a thing, we process them up, and we can them. And this year I'm excited to try some with a little less water so that we actually get a paste or a sauce rather than watery tomato that you have to cook for a long time in order to get the water to cook out of it. So these I'm really excited about. We've tied them up once already, but it looks like we need to do that again. But other than that, they're looking pretty good. So we put in 6 Amish paste tomatoes. I guess I'm gonna be getting into some serious paste tomato canning this year, as it turns out. Probably gonna have to call a friend of mine and see about that. Anyway, we've got 6 of them. When we get on down here, I think we're getting into some more eaters. Now I'm noticing down here, we've got a little bit of grass happening down here at the base of them. And we're gonna need to spend probably a good 15 minutes weeding. Okay, so we have some we didn't save the dealio on these. I don't know what any of these kinds of tomatoes are. I'm gonna be real with you guys. A couple of things. Number one, I didn't buy these. My husband did. So I don't even remember exactly what kind we got. And number two, I didn't plant them. In a video a couple of weeks ago, if you go back and check it out, we had my daughter out here, Michaela, and then my in-laws came and helped us to plant. And so they planted these, and not all of the little cards got put in on what they are. So right now, to me, this is a tomato plant, and it's green. And whenever it blooms and it makes a fruit, we'll know exactly what it is. I'm excited. I know we got some Juliets, I know we got some red cherry tomatoes, and we got some slicers. And they're all kind of bunched together. We'll see. It's just gonna be a mystery. I lucked out. These next two actually have their little cards with them, and they are geranium kiss tomatoes. And these little plants they're really cool. They're kind of a stiffer leaf and a stiffer stalk here. I've never grown one of these. Sorry. So I have no idea. Oh gosh. No, I've lost it. So so we're excited to see what these guys do for us. Next couple we have here are Jet Stars. I'm pretty sure those are slicers, so I'm excited about that. We love to eat tomatoes, and especially on a BLT, but if you know anything about us, we eat a ketogenic diet, super low carb. We do still like to eat a sandwich, and so what we do for our BLTs is make some truffles, use those as our bread, and then add your mayonnaise, your lettuce, tomato, and of course, Air to Ground Farms bacon. We finally got down here to a tomato that I'm pretty familiar with, and this is a beefsteak tomato. We have several of these plants, and we will definitely 100% be slicing those up. I believe we have our first little baby tomatoes here. These are Juliet tomatoes. Very, very exciting. Yay! And then we get down here, and I don't know about these, y'all. This is a spoon tomato. So we're excited about that. This is gonna be a huge discovery year for me in the gardening department, in the tomato breed department.
I'm just glad we didn't get any of those forked tomatoes.
Gosh, right. How many total tomatoes did we plant? Gosh. 20? Whew. And getting down here to the end of the row, we have some Juliets. We've got Gold Nugget. I'm really excited about these tomatoes. I think we planted about 20 plants with several different varieties, and we will definitely be bringing you along on our tomato mystery tours soon.
Moving on to the next row, we start the row with nasturtium, and we planted it. It's coming up a little bit. There's one little piece of grass in here. Hopefully it doesn't mess up the nasturtium. But They did germinate. That's about all I'll say about the nasturtium. Next is our yellow crookneck squash, a summer squash, and we planted 3 of them. They're doing pretty good. They've got a little bit of rust on the leaf, but overall I'd say they're doing really well. They're starting to get some flowers, so excited about that. The next nasturtium did the same thing. We have a little bit that came up. It did germinate. I'll get the grass out of here so that it can grow, maybe. We'll see. It's not doing great. After that, we've got our zucchini though, and the zucchini plants, they're doing great. They look really nice, y'all, and we like zucchini, so we're really excited that these plants are doing as well as they are. Following the zucchini, we go back to another nasturtium, and again, it germinated. That's about all I can say about it. It's not doing great, but it's still there. Get this grass out of the way. And after that, we have our cucumbers, and we planted one that's not supposed to be bitter. Michaela really likes the cucumbers, and she wanted some that aren't bitter. Our daughter, Michaela's our 12-year-old daughter. So we got the cucumbers going, and they're starting to get a little bit viney. It looks like they would love to be growing up something, but we didn't give them anything to grow up, so they're just gonna have to grow out. And that's, y'all, we left a lot of space here, and if you remember when we were planting the garden, it looked like, oh my gosh, there's so much space in between these plants, these little bitty plants with all the space. Or with these guys, it was just a hole in the weed fabric where we were poking seeds in. And now you can see already the space is taken up between the plants. Down here on the end, we have our few herbs, and this one isn't doing great. I just noticed that. Everything else is doing good, but I'm not sure. Then we have thyme and rosemary and basil. Everybody's doing okay with the exception of this one sage plant. We've got a little bit of grass that we need to get out of here. And then at the very end, we have a lemongrass plant, and we're trying to work really hard to keep the grass out of the lemongrass, because what we didn't want was to harvest our lemongrass and end up eating grass.
On to our final row, because the row behind me we left completely open. We haven't put any plants or holes in the one behind me because we're going to save those for the fall and put some broccoli, cabbage, probably some cauliflower in that one. So we just left it blank. This row is supposed to be our greens row, and we planted some collard greens and some Swiss chard. But as you can see, this row did not germinate very well. This is grass. We put the seeds in and they didn't do anything. This is doing this is doing okay. So what we're planning on doing today is, we've got plenty of time, so we're going to clean these holes out and replant and see if we can get a better germination. Maybe it got too dry after planting because it was new with the, I don't know. We're gonna try it again though. We're gonna just put some seeds in. We're gonna put some collards in, and I think some more green beans, and see what happens with those. So this is just a little bit of Swiss chard that germinated. This is our collards crop so far, guys. It's not doing super great. We only just have some grass growing out. I'll go ahead and just pull these. So we'll replant the collards. We'll replant those 6 holes back there that are supposed to be our Swiss chard. And then as we go down, we're gonna get into green beans. This year we decided to go just with the bush beans rather than the pole beans, because Michaela really loves to garden. She does a lot of the picking for us, and she requested bush beans. She liked picking those better rather than it being all intertwined in the poles and stuff and having to hunt so hard for the green beans. So she's excited about that. Let's go look at the green beans. Here's our green beans. We've got 6 bush bean plants, and this little guy, he wound up growing a little bit underneath here and got squished. The goose is loud. Whenever it was growing, so it did germinate. It kind of got squished, but we kind of, released him a little bit and he's growing. We're just gonna see what happens and just let it do its thing. But we've got 5 other really nice green bean plants here. That'll be great. And finally, okra. We love okra. I like to pickle the okra. I like to fry the okra. I eat the okra raw, right? Straight out of the garden. So I'm really excited about these guys. They're doing really well. Everybody's growing fairly evenly. The ones on the end seem to be a little bit shorter than the ones in the middle. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind that. We must have some sort of insect, because I see a few holes. Something is out here having dinner on a few of these. So we'll have a look at that and see what's going on there. This is sort of my first time inspecting them, but that one is quite munched on. Other than that, we need to pull a little bit of grass out of the base of them, and then they're doing really well. One thing you guys are going to see and learn is we are not professional gardeners, and you don't have to be a professional gardener to try to grow some of your own food. These things mostly just came from seeds in the ground. Add some sunshine and water and see what happens. really important part of gardening, farming, homesteading is making sure that your feet are comfortable and dry. And we have tried a lot of different shoes, whether it be tennis shoes, leather boots, all manner of shoes. And we recently decided to get a new pair.
Last year, watching a Greg Judy video, he recommended high C boots as some rubber boots that he had been wearing for years, and he felt like they really held up and he really liked them. So we decided we'll look into them. And if you've noticed on some of our farm videos, I'm wearing a pair of black high C boots, and they do a great job of fitting and keeping my feet dry. And as we're moving into summer and wanting to garden and processing chickens, the boots that I normally wear come all the way up almost to my knees, which are great in the wintertime because the neoprene helps keep your legs warm. But in the summertime, our legs were getting really hot.
Oh, they get so hot. So we decided we needed something that was a little bit shorter, a little bit cooler, and I was looking for something that was really comfortable whenever it comes to standing out here in the garden and processing chickens and being on our feet for hours on end. So this time I wanted to go with something just a little ankle high. I really like it because it's really easy to just slip on, and it feels a little bit more like a tennis shoe than it does a heavy work boot. It's light on your feet. It's really light.
And mine are the same way. I went with an ankle length, high C ankle length boot, and fit is really nice, and feet stay dry, which is a big deal for me. It's like the morning dew, again, processing chickens where there's water flying around. Like, it's really important for me for my feet to stay dry, and these do a great job.
For me, one of the really important features was the price point. They come in at more of a easier on the wallet number for me. So I was really keen on that. I don't really like to spend a whole lot of money on shoes, so this was important for me. Another thing is they kind of look cool. They don't really look as much like a work boot, and so I just think I don't know, they're kind of cool looking, don't you think?
I do.
Yeah, and they're really comfortable. They're nice and cushiony on the inside.
So we were able to work with High C and get a discount code, a 15% discount code. I'll leave it down in the description along with their website. And the discount is A2G Farms. Again, A2G Farms. And if you use that discount code when you make your purchase, you'll get 15% off. And I thought that was pretty cool of them.
Oh man, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So you guys check that out. Hey, you know what? Even if you're not a homesteader or a gardener and you just live in Florida, because we happen to know we live in Southwest Missouri right now, but if you live in somewhere like Florida or out west in the Pacific Northwest, you know how important it is to keep your feet dry during the rainy season. So hey, go check out, get you a pair of wellies, get whatever works for your lifestyle. You don't have to be out in a garden. You could just need to go to work.
Right.
Okay. So as he was talking about, let's cover the pros and cons to this weed fabric. Honestly, for me in particular, I don't have any cons on this stuff because gardening is something that we want to do, but it's not necessarily something we want to spend a whole lot of time doing. And if you watched just a little bit ago, we weeded this garden in minutes, not hours. And for me, take away the pain and I'm out here in the garden. So absolute plus for me is the fact that it is essentially weed free. And with the watering system, we can water this thing really without having to worry about it. Even if we were to leave it on a little bit too long, it's a soaker hose. It seeps out. It's not anything that's going to be horribly tragic. It's not going to ruin the garden if we happen to forget something. So to me, pluses all the way around.
For me, with the weed fabric, I would say pluses all around. Also, I love how neat it looks. When we stand at the window in the kitchen and look out at the garden, it doesn't look like an overgrown mess. Already at this time last year, the garden was an overgrown mess. We knew by now, a month in, that it was going to be out of control. And now it's totally under control. And I really like that it looks really nice. The only things that might be even considered minuses are on me and things that I can do better. So there are some edge issues. And if you watch Kevin and Sarah at Living Traditions Homestead, as soon as they put the weed fabric down, he edges it almost immediately with a 4x4 so that he can weed up against that 4x4. I didn't do that. We weren't sure how we were going to like this fabric, so I just left it out, and the grass really tries to encroach and grow up onto the fabric. So when I'm trimming it with the weed eater, it frays the edges of it as I'm trying to get close to keep the grass off of it. So that's really on me, but I think next year we will invest in the 4x4s to put around the edges. And the other thing is, on the very edge down here at the bottom, you can see that we have weed fabric that extends past where we have our poultry net that is surrounding the garden. And because of that, the chickens are being able to get to the fabric, and they're sort of digging out underneath the edge of it. So because we made the fabric a little bit longer than our last year's garden was, the netting didn't quite cover all of it, so the chickens have access to get to some of it. So really, those are the only two things that for me might even be considered negative, and both of them are just basically a management for my part.
Well, that covers our garden tour. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today.
Hope you enjoyed the video. I'd like to know what's going on with your garden. If you would, leave us some comments. How are things happening with your garden and your home?
So we're excited to see our tomatoes coming on, and ready to see, I'm ready for the squash, you guys. I'm a big squash girl. So we will definitely make sure that we keep you coming along with us as this garden grows and getting out here and harvesting really soon. And until next time, bye y'all.
Bye y'all.